Are live here on a Thursday afternoon, little impromptu. I wanted to, and this will not be long, in short, kind of discuss my reaction and the thought process on trying to let it sink in what has gone on with the Oakland Athletics and this whole situation in Sacramento temporarily, and the fact that we'll have a team that will not, if you will, even have a first name or a location. They'll just be called the Athletics. I want to get into all of that. Obviously, if you're on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast, belated, you can comment and get to me on Twitter at Casey Stern. You could jump up in the YouTube channel, which you could find in the bio. And we are live now on Instagram. We're new over there. So as I've said and joked about, kind of like being on MySpace, where Tom's your only friend. So get us at Unfiltered with Casey Stern. As always, let me get out of the way and say we're presented by our good friends at Bet Online. Number one source for all your sports betting needs. They got the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, basketball, boxing, golf, and more. Fastest and easiest way to get your wagers, live casino and card games. They're all available right from your phone. So head over to the website, use your mobile device, and sign up today. Get in on the action, but remember to use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. It'll give you a 50% welcome bonus in your first deposit. It is Bet Online where the game starts. And I want to get started with this. If there is any other feeling than anyone has outside of Rob Manfred and outside of people related to the money of Major League Baseball or John Fisher and this ownership, and I say that in quotes, that is anything but sad for what has happened to this franchise, then to be fair, that's pretty dumb. Because the only feeling you should have is sadness of what has happened to a storied franchise where, regardless of what you think of the stadium that they play in, and what's gone on for years, you've got diehard, true, dyed-in-the-wool fans, just like you are, watching or listening to me right now, for whatever the hell team you root for. And I root for some bad teams, I get it. And we all sit there and get poked fun at from the outside, but try and put yourself in the scenario of this baseball team. I had I wouldn't say pleasure, but the honor of getting a chance early in my career at MLB.com to cover the last 3 games at Olympic Stadium and being up there and talking to people in the streets and the tears and the stories and seeing firsthand what that is like. It is a terrible scenario. So that's the first and foremost. Everybody who is watching or listening to anything developing with this story over all these months and years should be nothing more than just sad, because it is absolutely embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing, this ownership and how John Fisher has gotten away with this utter garbage and the handling of this franchise is disgusting. We know why it's happening, and please, accountability from the league and Rob Manfred, not going to happen on a number of fronts. We can go on forever, and you could start with the minuscule verbiage on the back of the jerseys of your favorite teams that you're watching today and tonight in this sport. But there was an announcement and then a press conference today at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento on the new move to Sacramento, the home of the River Cats, San Francisco Giants AAA team for the next 3 years. Well, of course, they await what this is all about, the new stadium to be built and to go to Vegas. But why couldn't they stay in Oakland for this time? We'll get to that in a second. Let's start with this. Here are the comments from Fisher himself. If they don't disgust you, I question you. I just want to say, quote, "We're excited to be here for the next 3 years. Playing in this beautiful ballpark, but also to be able to watch some of the greatest players in baseball, whether they be Athletics players or Aaron Judge and others, launch home runs out of this very intimate, most intimate ballpark in Major League Baseball for the next 3 years." Let me translate for you. We're not going to have any players or pay them. So please come to this stadium and enjoy our baseball at this little park that I'm sure is very cute and nice, and enjoy other stars so that hopefully you will pay for the tickets to come see them, because folks like Aaron Judge will be here. Don't worry. To sit there and be telling this fan base and this Sacramento area, or whoever the hell you're catering to for the next 3 years, to fill these seats. And by the way, there ain't many of them. They keep them at 14,000 seats, which is the number I saw a couple of times. And then you go and you delve in. And I've never been there, but you hear about it. And like 3,000 of them are on a lawn like you see at spring training parks out in the outfield. So great. You want to come have a picnic and watch Aaron Judge hit a baseball in a minor league stadium against our team, which is kind of like a minor league team because we don't give a crap if they win or not, then come on down and come get tickets. We're excited. Meanwhile, you get a fan base in a city that you literally have left out hanging out to dry and treated like utter dog poop. And that's just to stay PG rated. What a complete and utter joke this owner and this ownership are. And the fact that they're not held to the stake by the league, but given a red carpet to do as they please is such an unbelievable disgrace to this sport. It's ridiculous. I thought Buster Olney had, and there have been some great comments that have been out on social media over the last couple hours since this has happened. But according to what he had on Twitter, it appears the difference between what Oakland offered and the A's wanted was $35 million or so over 3 years, which he says and uses as he could have used many examples. About the same money the Angels are paying for reliever Robert Stevenson. And what I would say is the amount of bad payroll and bad contracts that are on every damn team in this sport. Even those in small markets, even those without a lot of money. They all got them. They're all there. The $35 million. Remember that number. Because if you go into what was said today in some of the comments, and I want to read this from the team that will simply be known, quote unquote, as the A's, which is just a joke in its own right, if we're being fair. Team president Dave Cavall made some interesting comments. One, he says the partnership will help us with making sure these games go off successfully, talking about what's gone on with the park and with Sacramento and all of that. Quote, Oakland offered a deal that was fair to the A's and was fiscally responsible for the city, says the Oakland mayor. But that is not what Cavall said. He said at the end of the day, quote, we're far apart from Oakland, reportedly about $35 million. We worked hard with them. We're sincere in our efforts, as were they in the county. Does anyone watching or listening to this, a single solitary freaking soul, think that this ownership and this team were sincere about their efforts to stay in Oakland? Because I'm not saying the city did everything right, and I'm not saying everything that's gone on the last few years with the stadium has been copacetic on all fronts. It has not. And things cost money, and I get it. But does anybody think there's been a sincerity or anything but a lack thereof about their desire to stay in Oakland? They were never staying in Oakland. They didn't care if they went to Sacramento or they went to your freaking backyard, wherever you were, as long as they got the hell out of there. And they were never going to stay. And it is sad. It's sad for a franchise that you think about all the great moments, and me, I mean, look, I grew up a Met fan. Outside of the Mets, Ricky Henderson, my favorite player growing up. I think about all those A's teams in the 80s. 56 years, including 4 World Series championships. I think about it wasn't long ago where this team was sitting there on the 8th of August, 30 games over 500, just a short time before John Lester, then of the A's for a short time, after the Cespedes trade, loses a game to the Kansas City Royals. Terrence Gore, a couple of steals. I think that was Alex Gordon, maybe with a homer. Maybe it was Hosmer. I can't remember. And then all of a sudden, down and down and down you go, and it's the A's all over again. And we know the cycle, and we understand they haven't won at a high level, and we get they haven't spent money, but they've got an owner who does not give a crap about anything except absolutely squeezing as little as humanly possible out of the orange. So if we're supposed to take this sport seriously, and in Major League Baseball, we're going to sit there and say that this is about anything but expansion, getting this over with, money, all the getting out of Oakland, all the real things we know it's about. And we want to sit there and we want to placate and pretend that there's any sincerity in this garbage. Quote, we're excited to be at the most intimate ballpark in all of Major League Baseball. Are you kidding me with that garbage? That hot, flaming pile of trash on a doorstep? It's an absolute freaking joke. And they're A's fans and doing years of talk radio and being on for 12 years at Sirius XM. And I could think of, I could shout several of them, but Bleacher Dave, a guy who used to call like every day for years, every day on different boards and how many fans are on. And obviously we know about the major groups now and the protests, but all the people who have poured their hearts into hoping and praying that they can keep this team alive. Anybody who's been there and covered games there knows the park is terrible. We all understand that. I've been there. I've covered it. I get it. But you also know that they could have 10,000 people in there and it could sound louder than half the parks in the league because of the amount of emotion and the kind of environment that they had. And you took that from these people. And not only did you take it from them, but you took it insincerely, and you took it with, along the way, literally taking shots at them, which, let's not forget, the commissioner himself was doing, almost to blame the people themselves as if it was their fault. Not many months ago, if you want to go back and read the quotes and then backtrack, oh, he didn't mean it that way. What they mean is they don't care. It's big business. It's money. They don't care about you. And now they don't care that they have a team that literally has no city. The A's, the Athletics. How about the joke? The hot steaming pile of garbage in Sacramento, in a very intimate fashion at a stadium near you. What unbelievable sadness and garbage for the league, and first and foremost for that fan base. And I feel for you. That's an unfiltered take from somebody who's not an A's fan, but I can't even believe we're sitting there and pretending that this is anything but what it is. And that owner and that ownership, and the fact this league allows it, are a complete and utter disgrace. Nothing short of. But follow us on Instagram and get the YouTube channel and follow on Twitter. Sometimes there are happy things, not for Met fans. They're about to go 0-6 as I do this. But you can follow that, all the baseball more, recent conversations with Ariel Helwani, Rex Chapman, all sorts of different topics, all at Unfiltered, where we, as always, are presented by our good friends.